Hey there. We walk all over them. They invade our picnics. They're even part of that old saying about ruining a parade. But have you ever stopped to really think about ants?
I'm with you, they're easy overlook.
Yeah,
But once you start digging into the world of ants, you realize just how incredible these tiny creatures are.
that's what we're doing today, a deep dive into the world beneath our feet. We've got an amazing article here all about ant colonies, their anatomy, even how they talk to each other.
And trust me, their communication methods are way cooler than just stealing your picnic basket and leaving a note.
All right, so let's start with the basics. Just how many ants are we talking about here?
Get ready to have your mind blown. Scientists estimate there are about 10 quadrillion ants on Earth.
Wow.
That's a 1 with 16 zeros after it. If you line them all up, they'd probably stretch to the moon and back a few times.
That's a whole lot of ants. But they're not just randomly scurrying around, are they? I've seen those anthills. They look organized.
You're absolutely right. Ant colonies are incredibly structured, and it all starts with the queen.
Okay.
She's the heart of the colony, and her life is a wild ride, let me tell you.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me everything. What's the queen ant story?
So it begins with what's called a mating flight.
Okay.
This young queen, full of potential, takes to the sky with a bunch of males. They mate, and she stores away enough sperm to last her a lifetime.
A lifetime. How long are we talking here?
Get this, a queen ant can live for 10, sometimes even 20 years. But here's the kicker. Once she's mated, she actually breaks off her own wings.
What? Why on earth would she do that?
She's done with flying, literally.
Mm.
She's found a suitable spot, maybe under a log or in your garden, and she's ready to settle down and start a family. No more need for wings.
Wow, talk about commitment. So she hunkers down and starts laying eggs. And then what?
Then she becomes a single mom extraordinaire. Those eggs hatch into larvae. Think of them as tiny, squirmy ant babies. And the queen, she's responsible for feeding them all.
Wait, by herself? How does she even feed a whole brood of baby ants?
Remember those wings she shed?
Yeah.
Well, she breaks down the muscle tissue from her wings and uses that to nourish her first generation of offspring. Talk about making a sacrifice.
That's hardcore parenting right there.
Right.
So these larvae are being fed, they're growing up. What happens next in the ant nursery?
They go through a metamorphosis, kind of like caterpillars turning into butterflies. The larvae transform into pupa, which look kind of like little white bundles. Eventually, those pupa develop into adult ants. But here's the really cool part.
Okay, hit me with the cool part.
Most of those eggs the queen laid will turn into worker ants, which are all female. They're the ones you see scurrying around, foraging for food and building the anthill. But a few of the larvae, they're fed a special diet, a
Oh,
royal diet, you might say, and they develop into a vir.
you guessed it, new queens.
Whoa! So the queen is essentially raising her own replacements. That's a serious power move right there.
Exactly. It's all about ensuring the survival of the colony.
Wow.
And those male ants, their role is much simpler.
Hmm.
Mate with the queen and then, well, let's just say they don't have a very long lifespan. Sounds a little brutal for the guys. But hey, I guess that's nature for you. But with so many ants in a colony, things could get chaotic. How do they keep it all together?
That's where things get really amazing. We humans, we have our cities and our social structures. Ants, they've got something even more intricate going on. A whole communication system based on scent.
Scent? You mean like they leave each other little perfume messages?
Sort of. They release these chemical signals called pheromones. Think of it like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs, but instead of breadcrumbs, it's a scent that only other ants can pick up on.
So it's like their own secret language. I bet those pheromones carry all sorts of messages like, hey, food over here, or maybe even watch out for the giant magnifying glass.
You're exactly right. Pheromones are how they signal danger, mark their territory, even recognize each other. It's an incredibly complex system, and it's one of the things that makes ant colonies so successful.
This is blowing my mind. I'm starting to think those little ants in my backyard are part of a super secret society or something.
Well, in a way they are. And just like any society, they need a well-organized infrastructure.
Yeah.
And that's where their anatomy comes in. Each part of an ant's body is perfectly designed for its role in the colony.
Okay, let's unpack that. What are the key features that make an ant? An ant. I'm ready for my crash course in ant anatomy. All right, so last time we left off, we were about to go under the microscope ant anatomy time. I am ready to be amazed by these tiny engineers.
Well, get ready, because even though they're small, their bodies are incredibly sophisticated. Think of it like this. Every part has a purpose honed over millions of years of evolution.
Okay, so no wasted space on an ant. Where do we even begin with something this complex?
Let's break it down into three main sections. The head, the mesosoma, and the gaster. The mesotome is kind of like the middle bit, including the thorax, and the gaster is the ant's abdomen.
All right, so starting at the top, what's going on in that tiny ant head?
That's where all the sensory input happens. They got those mandibles, which are like strong jaws for carrying food, digging, even defending themselves.
Makes sense those mandibles look seriously strong for their size. What about those constantly twitching antennae? I know those aren't just for show.
You're right, those antennas are like their noses and taste buds combined. They use them to detect pheromones, smell out food, even feel their way around. Remember, ants spend a lot of time in darkness, so those antennas are crucial.
It's like they're using their antenna to build a whole sensory map of their world.
Precisely. And let's not forget their eyes. They've got these compound eyes, which are made up of lots of tiny lenses. It gives them a wide field of view, perfect for spotting movement and changes in light.
So they're not exactly watching ant TV, but they're highly tuned to anything moving around them. And what about that middle section, the mesosoma?
That's the powerhouse. It houses the muscles that power their 6 legs. And you know those legs are more than just for walking.
Oh, do tell. I always picture ants marching in single file, but I bet they can do a lot more than that.
They're surprisingly strong. They use those legs for carrying objects many times their own weight, for digging those intricate tunnels, even for grooming themselves.
Okay, now that is impressive. And what about the last section, the gaster? Isn't that where they
Yeah,
sting from?
that's the one. It contains the venom sac. But remember, not all ants sting. For those that do that, venom is their main line of defense.
I've definitely felt that defense mechanism in action before. But isn't the gaster also where everything else goes? You know, the ant version of digestion and all that.
You're right. It's basically their all-purpose compartment for digestion excretion, and for some species, even producing those amazing pheromones we talked about.
So it's like a multi-purpose survival backpack back there. This whole anatomy lesson is making me realize how much engineering goes into such a small creature.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, we've only just scratched the surface. Ants have evolved some truly mind-blowing adaptations depending on their species and where they live.
Okay, I'm ready for more mind-blowing ant facts. Give me some examples. What kind of incredible adaptations are we talking about?
Well, some ants, like the ones that live in the desert, have these incredible adaptations for dealing with extreme heat and dryness. They can store water in their bodies for a surprisingly long time, and they have these long legs that help them stay above the scorching sand.
It's like they've got their own built-in canteens and stilts. Nature's so cool. What else you got?
How about this? Some species of ants, called army ants, don't even have permanent nests. They travel in huge swarms, raiding for food and carrying their larvae and queen with them.
Wait, they just roam around like a tiny nomadic army? That's both terrifying and amazing?
Exactly. And then you've got ants that have evolved these incredible symbiotic relationships with other species.
Symbiotic? You mean like that whole thing with ants and aphids we touched on earlier?
Exactly. It's like a mutually beneficial partnership. The ants protect the aphids from predators and milk them for honeydew, a sugary substance the aphids produce.
It's like they've got their own little aphid farms. I knew those tiny brains were up to something. What other creatures do ants partner with?
Well, in some parts of the world, there are these amazing butterfly species that rely on ants to raise their young. The butterfly caterpillars have special glands that secrete a sugary substance that the ants love.
So it's a win-win. The caterpillars get protection from predators, and the ants get a sugary treat. I'm sensing a theme here. Ants sure do love their sugar.
They do. But it's not just about satisfying their sweet tooth. These symbiotic relationships are essential for the survival of both species. It's a perfect example of how interconnected everything is in the natural world.
It really makes you appreciate the delicate balance of nature, doesn't it? But I have to ask, with all these ants running around, don't they ever bump into each other and, get into fights?
Oh, absolutely. Ant wars are a real thing. And they can be surprisingly epic, with thousands of ants battling it out for territory or resources.
Okay, I need to hear more about this. What do these ant wars look like? Are we talking tiny ant swords and shields?
Not quite. They usually fight using their mandibles, biting and grappling with each other. Some species can even spray venom from their gasters, taking out their enemies from a distance.
Wow, that's intense. It's like a scene from a miniature action movie. What makes these ant armies decide to go to war with each other?
It's often about resources, food, water, or prime nesting sites. And sometimes it's simply a matter of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. You see, ants are very territorial, and they don't take kindly to intruders.
So it's like those classic turf wars, but on a much smaller scale.
Exactly. And just like in human wars, there can be casualties on both sides. But these battles also highlight something truly remarkable about ants. their incredible teamwork and selflessness.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does teamwork come into play in an ant war?
Well, individual ants are incredibly devoted to their colony. They'll often sacrifice themselves to protect their nestmates or to ensure the survival of the colony as a whole.
Talk about putting the ant in altruistic.
It's a fascinating example of what scientists call eusociality, where individuals cooperate and even sacrifice themselves for the good of the group.
That's wild. So it's not every ant for themselves, it's more like all for one and one for all.
Exactly. And that level of cooperation, that willingness to put the colony's needs above their own, is a big part of what makes ants so successful as a species. They've been around for over 100 million years, and they show no signs of slowing down.
Okay, that's both impressive and a little bit intimidating. But it also makes me wonder, if they're this good at teamwork and communication, what other secrets are those tiny ant brains hiding?
It's a great question, and it's one that scientists are still trying to answer. Because despite all we've learned about ants, there are still many mysteries to unravel, especially when it comes to their remarkable navigation skills.
Navigation. You mean how they always seem to find their way back to their nest, even after wandering far and wide for food?
Exactly. Think about it. They don't have maps. They don't have GPS. Yet they can travel hundreds of feet from their nest, gather food, and then navigate back home with incredible accuracy. How do they do it?
It's like they have some sort of sixth sense. I'm ready to dive into this ant navigation mystery. So we're back, and my mind is still buzzing about these ant navigators. Like, how do they do it? It's mind-boggling.
It really is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
They don't have smartphones with GPS. They don't leave a trail of breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel. Yet they can find their way home from, staggering distances.
All right, spill the beans. What's the secret? Do they have some sort of internal compass? Are they reading the stars?
Well, scientists believe it's a combination of things.
Okay.
One key factor is their sense of smell, which, as we know, is incredibly acute. They release those pheromones as they travel, creating a scent trail they can follow back to their nest.
Okay, that makes sense for short distances. But what about those ants that travel hundreds of feet from their nest? Surely the scent trail would fade by then, right?
You're right, scent trails alone wouldn't cut it for long distances. That's where things get really interesting. Scientists believe ants can also use visual landmarks to navigate.
Visual landmarks? You mean like they're remembering that one particularly gnarly tree root or that oddly shaped pebble?
Exactly. They have these incredibly detailed mental maps of their surroundings, and they can use even seemingly insignificant landmarks to orient themselves.
Wow, their memories must be incredible. But what about on cloudy days when those visual landmarks might be obscured? Do they just wander around aimlessly until the sun comes out?
Not at all. Ants also have the amazing ability to use the sun's position in the sky to navigate. It's called path integration, and it's a bit like having an internal celestial compass.
Wait, so they're like tiny little astronomers tracking the sun's movements? That's incredible. But what if it's a completely overcast day? Do they have a backup plan?
They do. And this is where it gets truly mind-blowing.
Okay.
Research suggests that some ant species can even sense the Earth's magnetic field.
Hold on, are you telling me that ants have built-in compasses? That's insane.
Insane but true.
Wow.
They have these tiny magnetic particles in their bodies, and scientists believe they use them to sense the Earth's magnetic field, helping them maintain their sense of direction even in the absence of other cues.
This is all just incredible. They're like these tiny little explorers with a whole toolkit of navigational superpowers.
They are. And the more we learn about them, the more amazing they seem.
It makes me wonder, what other secrets are they hiding? What other mysteries are waiting to be unlocked?
Oh, there are so many unanswered questions. For example, we've talked about their complex communication system based on pheromones, right?
Right.
But some scientists believe that ants might also be able to communicate using sound.
Wait, really? Ants making noise? I've never heard an ant make a peep.
That's because the sounds they make are often too high-pitched for humans to hear.
Oh.
But there's evidence that some ant species can rub parts of their bodies together to create vibrations, a process called stridulation.
Stridulation. It sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. So they're sending each other secret messages through these vibrations.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible that these vibrations play a role in everything from warning each other about danger to coordinating their foraging efforts. We're just beginning to scratch the surface of ant acoustics.
This is all just mind-blowing. It really makes you realize how much we still don't know about these tiny creatures that we share our world with.
Precisely. And that's what makes studying ants so exciting.
Yeah.
They're like a microcosm of the natural world, full of wonder, complexity, and endless opportunities for discovery.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, this deep dive has certainly been an eye-opener. I'm going to look at those ants in my backyard with a whole new level of respect, knowing all that's going on beneath the surface.
Me too. They're a tiny reminder that even the smallest creatures can hold the biggest mysteries and the most profound lessons.
Absolutely. So the next time you see an ant, take a moment to appreciate its intricate world. Remember, these tiny creatures are a vital part of our planet's balance, and their lives are more fascinating and intricate than you might think.
And who knows what other secrets they're holding just waiting for us to discover.
Exactly.